Today, we're diving into a very specific but increasingly critical topic for modern marketing teams: AI-assisted HTML5 banner tools and how they turn one great idea into hundreds of ads without burning out your designers. If you're hearing HTML5 banners and thinking, isn't that just another kind of ad maker? You're going to want to stick around because the answer is a lot more interesting. To walk us through this end-to-end workflow, from a single master creative to bulk animated HTML5 production, I've got a guest who lives in this world every day. So let's start at the top. When you say AI-assisted HTML5 banner tools, what exactly are we talking about?
These are specialized production platforms designed to take one master creative and turn it into many native, animated HTML5 banners that obey all the technical, brand, and ad server rules. They sit right between your design tools, like Figma or Adobe, and your media layer, like Google Ad Manager, Campaign Manager 360, or DSPs, such as DV360. So they're built for the teams that have to ship not 5 banners, but hundreds of variants across sizes and markets, often on weekly or even daily cycles.
That sounds pretty different from the usual drag-and-drop banner builder tools people might have tried before. How do these AI HTML5 banner platforms really differ from generic ad makers or template-based design tools?
Generic tools mostly care about how things look. These platforms care about the entire production infrastructure behind those visuals. They output true HTML5 bundles with proper click tags, asset packaging, and compliance with IAB standards on file weights and sizes. The AI isn't just generating images, it's doing production work, like resizing layouts, animating layers, and even turning flat image assets back into editable designs, all under tight brand governance.
So the context here is that display advertising itself has exploded, right? Can you paint the big picture why this category of tools even exists now?
Digital ad spend keeps climbing. U.S. internet ad revenue hit $259 billion in 2024, up 15% year over year, and global ad spend is projected to reach $1.24 trillion by 2026. More money means more formats, more personalization, and far more creative variants to test and optimize. Meanwhile, creative teams are stretched. Adobe's 2024 data shows most decision-makers see workloads rising, and the majority of creatives are already using generative AI to cope. So these tools exist to absorb the scale without just hiring a small army.
You mentioned they sit between design and media, almost like a middle layer. Can you walk us through that 3-layer workflow: design, production, and media, and where something like Viewst fits?
Think of 3 layers. The design layer is where you craft the master creative in Figma, Photoshop, Illustrator, or After Effects. Then, the production layer is where AI, HTML5 banner tools like Viewst, Celtra, or Bannerflow import that master, scale it, animate it, and enforce brand rules, all while outputting valid HTML5. Finally, the media layer, GAM, CM360, DSPs, takes those HTML5 bundles, serves them, optimizes performance, and reports back. Viewst explicitly positions itself as production infrastructure, so designers can focus on creative quality while the platform solves the mechanical scaling and compliance.
Let's zoom into the production layer a bit. What are the core capabilities modern AI banner tools tend to have, beyond just make it smaller or bigger?
Most platforms converge on 5 big capabilities: smart resize, instant animation, image deflattening, brand governance, and native export in multiple formats. Smart resize takes your master design and intelligently adapts it to IAB sizes like 300 by 250, 728 by 90, 160 by 600, 970 by 250, or 320 by 50, reflowing text and repositioning logos to preserve hierarchy. Instant animation adds motion, entrances, exits, loops, without hand keyframing. using presets and AI to apply consistent animation across layers.
You use the term image deflattening, which is not something most people have heard before. What is that, and why does it matter in banner production?
Image deflattening is about taking flat assets, like a JPEG where the headline is baked into the pixels, and reconstructing them as layered, editable designs. AI detects text regions, recreates the copy as editable text layers, separates logos and shapes from the background, and rebuilds the structure so you can scale and animate those assets. It's crucial when teams inherit legacy banners or static images, but still need to turn them into modern, dynamic HTML5 creatives.
And then governance. This is the part that brand teams care about, right? How do these platforms keep all that AI power from turning into off-brand chaos?
They use locked brand books that define typography, colors, logo usage, and often button styles, so not every user can improvise the brand. Role-based access and approvals ensure that changes go through the right people, and brand rules propagate across all sizes and markets. This aligns with broader industry moves like the IAB's AI Transparency and Disclosure Framework, which essentially treats governance and provenance as part of the production stack.
You also mentioned export formats. These tools are HTML5 native, but campaigns are rarely that simple. What export options do teams typically get, and why do they matter?
HTML5 is the core for programmatic display and rich media, but many platforms let you export GIFs for email or legacy placements and MP4 video for social or video inventory. Viewst, for instance, produces HTML5 bundles compatible with CM360 or GAM, plus GIF and MP4 for other channels. That way, one production workflow feeds display, social, email, and even App Store creatives, instead of running separate processes.
Let's get practical and walk through the actual steps of making HTML5 banners with these tools. Say I'm a creative lead. What does the end-to-end workflow look like from the first idea to having hundreds of ready-to-run banners?
You start with a single master creative built in Figma or Adobe with clear hierarchy, headline, subhead, CTA, plus safe areas and sensible layer naming. You keep its resolution close to your key format, like 300 by 250 or 970 by 250. Then import it into the production platform using a Figma plugin or Adobe integration. During import, you map layers to HTML elements, check fonts and colors, and ensure logos and visuals come through correctly.
Once that master is in the tool, you don't just start scaling willy-nilly, right? What's the next step to make sure things stay on brand as you scale?
You set up your brand books and templates first. Define typefaces and weights, color palettes, button styles, corner radii, and save that imported master as a template. That template then becomes the source for automated scaling, so every new size inherits the locked brand rules. It's what keeps creative automation from drifting off into inconsistent or unsafe territory.
Okay, now we hit the part people really care about, turning that one master into all the sizes. How does AI Smart Resize actually work with standard IAB formats?
You select the set of IAB sizes you need, like 300 by 250, 728 by 90, 160 by 600, 970 by 250, plus smartphone banners, like 300 by 50 or 320 by 50, and run Smart Resize on the master. The AI reflows text, moves elements to preserve hierarchy, and keeps logos and CTAs in safe zones tailored to each size. You still manually fine-tune tricky formats, like very tall or narrow units, but you go from days of manual resizing to minutes of assisted scaling.
Once you have all those sizes, they're still static layouts until you add motion. How does the instant animation piece work, and what should teams watch out for?
You pick motion presets for headlines, product images, logos, and CTAs, then apply them across all sizes with a click, adjusting timings in a simple timeline instead of keyframes. Most guidelines recommend total animation loops in the 15 to 30-second range, and the aim is purposeful movement, guiding attention, not distracting viewers. Tools like Viewst's Instant Animator basically let you animate entire sets consistently in one go.
So far, we've got one concept, many sizes, all animated. But performance teams usually want variants, not just formats. How do these platforms help generate hundreds of variants for testing? Different headlines, offers, languages, all that.
They use dynamic fields and templates for things like headlines, prices, offers, and product images, and let you ingest a CSV or product feed. From that feed, the platform auto-builds variants for different offers, localizations, language and currency, and audience-specific messages. Adobe Firefly's Banners at Scale is one example of this paradigm, and Viewst applies similar structured workflows for HTML5 sets.
We can't talk about HTML5 banners without talking about quality and compliance, especially click tags and file sizes. What does automated QA look like in this context?
Automated QA checks that click tags are implemented correctly, file sizes are within IAB and platform limits, and that text isn't cut off or overlapping in any size. It also ensures animation durations stay within recommended bounds and flags missing click tag functions like click tag or click tag 1 required by CM360 and GAM. AI can catch issues such as oversized files or fonts that don't match the brand book before you ever upload to an ad server.
Then comes the export step, where the rubber meets the road with your media stack. What are the main constraints teams need to respect when exporting HTML5, and how do these tools help?
You export HTML5 zip bundles formatted for CM360 or GAM, sometimes AMP HTML where supported, and pay attention to limits like CM360's 100 file and 9.5 megabytes per zip cap. Google Ad Manager is stricter, with a 1 megabyte total bundle limit and initial file weights aligned to IAB specs. For example, a 300 by 250 might have a 150 kilobyte initial weight and 300 kilobyte subload. The platforms bake these constraints into their export logic, so you don't have to manually police every package.
Now, Viewst is one example, but there's a whole ecosystem of creative automation platforms out there. Can you give us a quick landscape overview, who the main players are and what they're best at?